Hey guys, it's Ian here with HobbiesofaMan once again, and today we're doing our monthly ramble video for the month of October. We're going to be talking about my response to a video I watched a few days ago by this booktube channel called Love and Lore. It seems to be a married couple, a young couple that love reading, and this one of the activities that they do together, and they made this YouTube channel to kind of share their interest and their reviews of books to the world. And it's a really cute channel. I really enjoy listening to them. They are not a channel that I listen to often, but I did recently subscribe to them because of this video, and I appreciate it. So the video that I'm looking at here today is called Debate, Is One Piece a Fantasy Book? And this is a response video. I am not doing this out of some spite or dislike for them or anything like that. I'm doing this because I think they had an interesting conversation, and I wanted to share my opinion on that with my own audience and with them and with the rest of YouTube. And so I will be leaving links to their channel, to their video down below, and hopefully they'll watch this and also, leave a comment for me the same way that I left one for them, right? So the thing about their video was that even though it was very nicely done, I felt like the two people that are presenting were kind of arguing two different things. It's kind of hard to define what they were arguing. Like, I would say that the female presenter, whose name I can't remember, I think her name is Sima, was arguing that manga or / comic books are not the same as novels for whatever reason. And the male presenter, I can't remember his name at all, was arguing that One Piece is fantasy in general, like not a fantasy book. And maybe that was kind of lost there because he was focusing on the fantasy aspect to try to win the argument, right? And maybe that kind of got lost there. But so I want to make clear what I'm kind of talking about here. So first, let me answer the question of the video that they made, right? So the question, as posed in the title, is One Piece a fantasy book? And by all measures, the answer is yes. One Piece is a fantasy book. We have to define what a book is, and I would define a book as a collection of paper that is bound together, that is used to portray or in some way translate from one person to the other a story or a narrative or a idea, and that person that is reading the book can understand it, right? And so by definition, basically everything that is paper and has something printed on it is a book. That's a bit too broad, but I think it works for our purposes, right? This is a book, and this is a novel specifically, and it has only written word in it, right? Some novels have illustrations. Some Japanese novels have a lot of illustrations. Some, some novels for children have a lot of illustrations. It is what it is. It's just kind of how it works, right? Novels are, broadly speaking, 99.99% words, right? This is a book as well. This is a manga, and this has words and pictures, right? And the same can be said about this, which is a comic book. This one's hardcover, so it's a bit different, but this is an American comic book. This is a trade paperback specifically, or I guess this is a hardcover, but the normal ones are called trade paperbacks, and this is also pictures and words, right? And so by the broadest definition of a book, they are both books. They're all books, right? However, if you were to ask, is One Piece a fantasy novel? The answer there is no, because it is not a novel, it is a comic book, right? Then I think it's important to ask, is the literary merit between both mediums equal or in some way possibly or potentially the same? And I would argue that the answer to that is yes. I don't think that you can say no in that instance, right? However, you can kind of say one might have more merit than the other, and that is mostly dependent on your culture and what you value more, right? And even within that, like within the American culture, we have the saying, right, that is that pictures are worth 1,000 words. And yet we treat animation, like adult animation, and we treat comic books as second tier levels of entertainment or third tier levels of entertainment, depending on who you are, right? And so we argue that there is a lot of value in illustration and picture, and yet usually treat it as lesser. And we hold up the written word as this really valuable thing, right? And I think that that is ultimately where most of these conversations between people that are fans of reading novels and people that are fans of reading comic books kind of happen from, right? There is this elitism that is at the heart of reading communities, where they think that reading novels is the highest or most important or most valuable way of reading, right? And a lot of people also do this for audiobooks, right? A lot of people, myself included, sometimes have said, if you're reading an audiobook, you're not really reading, you're just listening. And ultimately, that is technically correct, right? Like, if you're being pedantic, that is true. You are not reading an audiobook. But the concept that I am consuming the same story as you in a method that is more enjoyable for me should hold more water than it does, right? And I think that that is an important kind of aspect to think about when we're thinking about this sort of conversation. Is One Piece a fantasy epic? Yes. Is One Piece at the same level as Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere, or specifically the Stormlight Archive, or The Wheel of Time, or something like that, Lord of the Rings? I would say yes. If you can say no without pointing to the fact that it's a manga, you might have an argument. But if your only argument for saying that it's not at the same level as Tolkien or Brandon Sanderson or Robert Jordan, it's because it has pictures in it, you are wrong. There is no value to that argument. I don't believe that holds water at all. And so I think that basically answers this, right? So what was the point of this video? The point of this video was that I wanted to share some observations about elitism and tribalism within reading communities, and how it's kind of silly and there is no value in it, and that you can dislike or not want to be or not want to read or not want to or be not interested in comic books and manga and bande dessinée and Korean manhwa or webtoons or any of these word plus picture types of storytellings, right? These mediums that involve both words and pictures, but you cannot discount their value or their merit in terms of literacy just because they are words with pictures. I believe that is wrong. And I think that you should believe that too. If we want young people to read more, right? Specifically young men, because that is the demographic that I come from, right? If you want young men to read more, you have to minimize the barriers of entry to reading. And in the West, or specifically here in the USA, the barriers to reading for young men are pretty high. First of all, YA basically exclusively caters to female readers, is mostly dominated by female creators, and that is not a problem, but it makes young men less likely to read because they feel like they can't understand these characters or understand the creators that they're reading from, right? Young men are mostly going to be focused on reading or are playing video games, and young ladies can as well, but I think that it's been proven through a lot of research that mostly the kind of hobbies that young people have is girls read and boys play video games, right? And although there's overlap and there's crossover and there's exceptions to those rules, that is, broadly speaking, the understood kind of concept, right? And so why would young men prefer video games over reading? Well, because it's a lot more satisfying. It's a lot faster. It's a lot more enjoyable, right? And so how do you make the barrier to entry minimized? By making reading faster, which includes adding pictures and making it more exciting and making it action-based and making these cool, awesome characters, right? And I think that's why manga dominates across many countries, right? Because manga is easy to read, it's fast to enjoy, it comes out pretty quickly, it's pretty affordable, and it manages to tell a pretty exciting and relatively deep story without having to be bogged down by 200 pages or more of exposition before you get to the crux of the story, right? And that's coming from someone that is a huge fan of epic fantasy and a huge fan of manga. I think that, as an adult, I would prefer to read more like more proper novels, right? But ultimately, I end up reading more comic books and more manga because within the time frame that I have available to me, by being a busy student, I prefer to read manga and comic books because they give me the ability to feel like I've done more, I've read more within the limited amount of time than if I were to read a novel, right? And maybe that's a problem I have personally, but I think that there is a certain exciting feeling that comes with finishing a book that a lot of readers chase that is easier to accomplish with short novels, with comic books, with manga, and being able to harness that into creating a habit and a hobby of reading is valuable. And every time that someone is an elitist and tries to point away from that kind of concept to try to minimize those that enjoy reading comics and manga, are doing a disservice to the reading community by forcing people that might eventually become part of it to go and be away from it. And so I think that that is important, right? So it's kind of veered off topic, right? My response to the video that I mentioned at the beginning was mostly the first 5 or 6 minutes. This is mostly me just kind of getting on my soapbox, right? So I think I'll leave it at that. Hopefully it made sense. Maybe I kind of went all over the place. I'm not really sure. I don't script these, and this is the 4th time that I've recorded this video, so hopefully it makes sense by now. But I thank you guys for watching. If Love and Lore end up coming over here, thank you guys for watching as well. I hope you guys enjoyed, and hope you guys make more videos. And to my subscribers, to my YouTube audience, thank you guys very much for being here, for liking my videos, and for doing all the stuff that it is implicit in YouTube. And I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you guys next time. So thank you guys very much for watching, and see you guys later.